This is a tutorial for the Christmas popcorn garland. The pattern can be found on momsloveofcrochet.com, and the written directions are a little bit confusing, and so I'm going to show you how to make it. So I'm using blue yarn because it's a little bit easier to see. I guess it's more of a teal. We're going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to insert our hook. The pattern calls for a G size hook. I'm going to use an H just because it's a little bit easier to see with larger stitches. Okay, get set up here. The first row says to chain 5, so we're going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So here's the first chain, here's the second chain. I go ahead and put a single crochet in that. So there's 1. And then 2, 3, and 4. Then it says to turn, right? And we should have 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're going to slip stitch in our first stitch. So that means we're going to insert the hook, and we're going to take this yarn and bring it through everything. Okay, slip stitch made. And we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to make a cluster stitch. So it's yarn over, and we're working still in the same stitch. And this is a 2-stitch cluster. So there's half of our cluster, and we're going to make the second half. It's 2 unfinished double crochets. Then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to bring it through all 3 loops. All right. Then it says to slip stitch in the same stitch there. So it looks like that. Now the directions say to slip stitch in the next stitch. We're going to slip stitch again. And we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And we're going to do our cluster again. Bring it through everything. And then it says to slip stitch in the same stitch. Okay, so we've got 2, they almost look like petals. We have 2 remaining stitches here. 1, 2. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to slip stitch in. All right. Chain 2, 1, 2. Yarn over. We're going to do our cluster. All right, we have 1 more to do. We're going to slip stitch in. Oh, I forgot the slip stitch on the last one. Okay, that looks better. All right. We're going to slip stitch in this time. Chain 2, 1, 2. Doing our cluster again. through. Okay. Now we're going to slip stitch. All right, so we've got 4 little petals. Now the directions say to work across the remaining loops of the foundation chain. So we are going to work this way. We're just going to work kind of in a circle. And the remaining loops, we can look here from our foundation chain. It's kind of hard to see at this point. But I only worked in the top loop when I initially started around. So now I've got like some spaces. So if we pull this apart, we can see 4 spaces, and that's where we're going to work in this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to slip stitch right into that space and do our chain 2, yarn over. We're doing our cluster now. All right, we're going to go and do our slip stitch. Another one of those petals made. We're going to slip stitch into the next one. One, 2. And we're going to do our cluster. All right, cluster is made. I'm going to go into that chain loop and do that slip stitch. All right, got 2 left. Slip stitch, chain 2. Doing our cluster now. And we're going to finish that off with a slip stitch. All right, we should have 1 more to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 1 more. Where do we put it? There it is, right there. If you've never done this before, I definitely would recommend like a light colored yarn before using white. I tried it on the white first and it was a little hard to see. So definitely play around with the colors first to make sure you know what you're doing before you dive in. So I'm onto the cluster now. And then put a little single crochet there. Oh my goodness. All right, that didn't work. Try this again. Great thing about crochet, it's just string. It pulls right out and you can fix your mistakes. Okay, so we did the last slip stitch. Okay, and then we are going to fasten off. Directions say about 6 inches. This is probably much more. I don't measure things. We're going to take a tapestry needle. And the directions say to weave 6 inches of length through the single crochet stitches of row 1 and pull tightly together. That's pretty hard to see. So I think what they mean is to just take it through those first stitches and we're going to pull. Oops. And we've got popcorn. How cute is that? And we're just going to kind of sew it together. Oh, you've got popcorn. And I'll post the link for the pattern at the bottom of this page. You can print it out for yourself and check it out. And then you'll just weave these ends in to secure. Being that this is a decorative item, you probably could get away with knots. I'm a big advocate against knots, but in this case, I don't think it would really hurt because it's going to be a garland. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. I hope this really helps you out trying to make popcorn garland for Christmas.